Alex Walsham from the University of Cambridge, and I'm here to participate in the Relics and Emotions study day. What we're here for is to look at relics in medieval and early modern European culture. Relics are holy objects which are perceived to have sacred power, but are also in many ways touchstones for memory and emotion. And so the series of papers in today's conference are going to look at various aspects of that and how relics are markers of confessional and political identity, as well as a social focus for interest and community and so on. How do things become relics? Relics, in a sense, only exist in the eye of the beholder, because a mere piece of bloodied cloth might be to one person, a piece of rubbish, as it were, but to someone else it has a powerful, poignant meaning and is a kind of route to the past, a revered past, as well as in the theology of the time, the Catholic theology of the time. It's a connection with the afterlife and with the world in which the saints now reside. So relics become sacred through the perception and the action of the people who are devoted to them and who invest emotion in them. I think relics can tell us a lot about how people interact with objects more generally. And I think it's because objects provide a focus for a senses of identity. They provide a focus often for memory, for a sense of outrage or of anger or of devotion or of sentiment of various kinds. So I think objects are a very powerful and neglected route into the study of the past and of its emotional cultures. Well, obviously relics are material objects, and it's very difficult to read from an object how you access emotion. So the things I look for are language, sensitivity to language and how people, what kinds of words and vocabulary people use around objects that they perceive to be sacred. Also action, what people do, how they behave, what rituals they perform, are ways of accessing a sense of emotion. Because relics are also, they're objects of a kind of encapsulation of the memory of a community. So in a sense you have to read between the lines partly, and you have to be sensitive to language, to silence and to action. How did I come to the study of relics? My work has always been concerned with the Reformation on both sides of the polemical divide, both Catholic and Protestant manifestations of religious renewal in the 16th and 17th centuries. My own paper is going to explore Catholic relics in the wake of the English Reformation, so after Protestant attacks on relic culture had taken hold. In the wake of that, there was nevertheless a resurgent relic culture promoted by the Roman Catholic Church, which was then a missionary church. And in a sense, I've always been interested in that period of time and that movement because it unleashed such powerful emotions on both sides. One of the most exciting moments I've recently had in the archives was in the archives of the Archdiocese of Westminster, which are the Catholic archives. And I went there in search of what I believed to be a relic that still survived in the archive. And the relic was a tiny flower that had been preserved, that a Catholic martyr had carried with him to the gallows and held until he expired. In a sense, as a scholar of the early modern period, every letter or text that you look at from that period is itself a kind of relic. Yeah. But this was particularly poignant because it's such an ephemeral item. You wouldn't expect a flower that is 400, 500 years old to survive for this length of time, but there it was. What relevance do relics have today, and do they still have resonance? Absolutely. We generate relics too. Politicians, are the subject, in a sense, sometimes of cults, of celebrity. Sports people also become the subject of, in a sense, relic cults. Cricket bats or, Australian rules footballs that survive from one particular famous match. They too are relics. So relics are a very expansive category, and in a sense part of the interest for historians is in how the conception and the definition of a relic evolves over time, and in a sense, the common factor in all of these phenomena is often emotion. They're a touchstone for emotion. For me, emotions are important in history because they have agency. Historians have been concerned with the various forces, historical forces, class, gender, religion, and emotion is a neglected dimension of our understanding of how the past evolves and how historical and why historical events happen. So I think emotion is a tremendously powerful and neglected force that is always present in our sources, but our preoccupations with other factors have tended to eclipse and obscure its significance.